Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are in. So a warm welcome to you, and thank you for joining this STACS live showcase session. The topic of this live showcase is real-time multi-asset DLT trade processing, unlocking ecosystem benefits. My name is David. I'm the Executive Director of STACS, and I'll be the moderator for this showcase. And together with me from STACS is Nigel. He's the Senior Manager, Product and Strategic Partnership, and he'll be the presenter for a live demo later. It's also my privilege to have a business partner here with me on this live showcase. So let us give a warm welcome to Nadim from BNP Paribas Securities Services. BNP Paribas Securities Services is a global custodian, asset servicing provider committed to helping clients with their investments and cross-border distributions. Thank you, Nadim, for taking time to join us on this live showcase. Without further ado, we'll start off with our fireside chat with Nadim, then followed by a live demo, and finally Q&A. Nadim, can you provide a brief introduction of yourself and your role in BNP Paribas?
Yes, thanks, David. So I'm heading the investment solutions within BNP Paribas Securities Services, which is part of the BNP Paribas group. I'm based in Singapore, and within my current role, I'm responsible for products and services around middle office, investment analytics, ESG, collateral management. So quite a big range of activities. And you'll notice that this particular fireside and demo that we're going to do is typically touching upon activities and a product we're selling in the middle office space. So you'll have a great insight on what we do and how we can improve this for our clients. I've been working with BNP for 15 years, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim. Thanks for the self-introduction. And we'll start off with the quick recap, actually, of Project Mercury. I recall there was a live showcase last year during the SFF week, and also we have a press release. So maybe you can share with us, Nadim, what is Project Mercury all about? What was the problem statements, and what was achieved, during the end of the phase 1, which led to a live implementation around June 20.
Yeah, thanks. So let me first start by explaining how we and our clients are investing into the derivative markets. So imagine you're an investment manager. You want to invest into futures. So you'll first thing you'll do is you'll probably look at prices that are available on the market, and you'll interact with the counterparty. So a broker will be involved in there. Once that you've done the trade as an investment solution and the broker has sent you all the prices, that future trade will go down into what we call the processing environment. So once it enters there's different stakeholders that are involved. So we as a service provider, BNP Paribas, will make sure that transaction is actually fed through and made sure that all the relevant parties are informed of all the changes that are happening there. So we'll do the confirmation, we'll instruct it to the banks, we'll make sure that the clearers, so you have to know that derivative trades involve clearers, specifically when it's listed, so that they are informed that they get all the necessary information. So many participants are involved into a derivative trade. What we've noticed is, particularly with our clients that are trading a high volume of derivatives, is that some of those trades are breaking. And what we call a break in the process is basically that it just can't be processed anymore, and that a human needs to intervene to correct that trade. So sometimes there's missing information, and the prices are wrong. The trade has not arrived yet. So many different problems can occur in that transaction life cycle, as we call it. What we've done is we sat down with our clients and we said, well, let's look at this, because this is the least efficient setup that exists in our relationship, and the least efficient way of working in comparison to equity trades, fixed income trades, etc. So we did a design thinking approach, and we called it the 60-day challenge, because we believe that design thinking should be a short set. You look at it, you look at a problem, you think about options to do this and to resolve it, and then you implement the solution. So we sat down with our clients through that design thinking process, and we quickly figured out that there are no real solutions out there. You can automate this. You cannot use the digital solutions. You cannot use market platform that exists to improve the process. So this is where we involved the boys from STACS to help us out, and we quickly found out that probably blockchain might be a good way to solve this. Again, the idea was we have multiple participants, fund managers, us as a service providers, brokers, clearers. So that dimension, multiple service providers, sequential process, maybe blockchain can change that perspective. Maybe we can do it all at the same time with all the different parties involved at the same time. So this is where we launched the Project Mercury last year. And this Project Mercury, the implementation, it's a blockchain technology platform that receives those ETD trades, so derivative trades, does the controls of those trades, the potential, make sure that all the data is correct, and once it's correct, it's sent out to all the different parties involved. So it goes back to the fund manager, it goes back to us. So the really impressive part of this was that when STACS came in for this problem that was existing for years, they've been able to solve that in just a couple of months. And that's how you see the benefits of new technology like blockchain helping out some legacy problems that have been there for years. And what we've done is we've been able to reduce those famous breaks by 96%. That's massive. And if you have a break, you have to imagine that somebody needs to step in. So it involves a lot of manual effort. Errors are prone to arrive. So obviously, if you need to change the trade and you need to do that manually, it's a fat finger, as we call it, is very easy to happen. So reducing those trades, reducing those interventions are very important. So by looking at the 96% reduction, it improved a lot of the pains that we were feeling as a service provider on the back end.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim, for sharing the Project Mercury story. And it's definitely a great collaboration between STACS and BNP Paribas on this Project Mercury. And we look forward to hear more new updates soon. So by the way, speaking about blockchain, right? So for the solutions, it has to be developed with new technology. So, but in this case, does it have to be blockchain, or it can be something else?
So, when we kicked off this design journey, we first spent a lot of time in understanding where the problem lies. What's causing all those problems down the processing area, down the value chain. Wrongful data that's been input by the fund manager, wrongful data that's related to the fees from the brokers, etc. So different reasons, we've tried to pinpoint those. And once we've identified the potential problems, we obviously looked at ways to solve it. And as I mentioned previously, we really looked at can we use classic lab developments? Can we use developments as we generally do, enhance the platforms, or look at the front office platform of the client, look at our own platform to improve that? And we just couldn't find a way to do this. So this is where we turn to other options. Could we use robotics, RPA? Would that be a solution? And what we looked at it is, yes, it could be, but you still would have a massive amount of problems, because the problem is the data source. The problem is the fact that the data that you receive and it's communicated among the different participants is wrong. So how can you automate this? So this is where it became eventually very clear that blockchain is probably the best way to solve this. And going through blockchain where, again, various participants can see at the same time the information and even change that information. And you can also define, and we'll be talking about the next steps, but you could also define who is allowed to do what in the blockchain environment, allows you to create a real secure environment. And I think that's what we wanted to really explore with you guys, with STACS, is creating this secure environment where we have different participants that can get involved, and then then the sky is the limit, if you look at it. And again, the sky is the limit. We'll be talking a little bit more about that going down the line. So for us, the experience was changing, but structural change that happened in the derivative environment. And this is clearly something we want to share with others as well, because we're not the only ones feeling this pain. There is no platform that exists today that's capable of handling those derivative trades in the same way that we have been doing it together with you guys. So we know that this pain exists elsewhere, and we'll be looking to see how we can help others to benefit from the same solution that we have.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Nadim. Thanks, Nadim. Sorry. It actually does make sense that blockchain will be the technology, to be used for Project Mercury trade processing solution. And I think from the audience point of view, right, they could be interested to hear what has changed for your client, the asset manager, and of course for BNP, who is the middle office provider. Since the implementation last year. Maybe you can share with us, what have changed and any feedback or testimonial that you have received from your client or your stakeholders.
Yeah, so with as I said, as I've mentioned, the tremendous increase in reduction of problems, 96% less problems, it changes two things. First of all, internally for ourselves as a company, as a service provider, as a bank. You don't want to have people that are spending 8 hours a day looking at trades, looking at each individual trade data and trying to figure out what's wrong, and then calling up the different parties, brokers and investment managers on the back end to correct it. I don't call this a high value task. It can be pretty boring after a while, and when that's boring, this is where the risk come in, right? This is where somebody makes a mistake and puts in less, instead of 1 million, it puts in 100 million. And that's where, 100 million is a severe impact on the market. So what we wanted to do is make sure that the operational risks are reduced, but also that our people that are working on it do something that really brings value in terms of services and quality to our clients. This was, solving breaks and solving problems does not bring value to our staff. So if you translate that back to from a client's experience, what they have seen as an investment manager, the first thing that they want to do is, when you invest into a market, you want to make sure that everybody else, when you do that trade on the market, that everybody else, all the different partners that you work with, are capable of handling that trade. So if it's one trade, that's fine. If it's 10 trades, probably also fine. But if it becomes 10,000 trades on a day, then you start scratching yourself as an investment manager and you ask yourself, am I sure that I have the right platform and the right people around me to help me do that exposure on the market? So this is where it becomes really critical. You need to make sure that your clients have the trust to continue working with you. And definitely this project and this solution that we've implemented together with the client has built that trust. So that means that now both them and us, we as service provider, and them as an investor feel very comfortable. They can go to 100,000 trades. We know that we'll be able to handle that without an issue. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's definitely great feedback from your client and also your stakeholders. So just moving forward, yeah, right. So let's about Project Mercury. What do you think is the future of Project Mercury? How it will impact the BNP going forward, your clients and your partners, and possibly the asset wealth management industry?
So I think I would look at it at short term and the mid long term. So let's look at the short term first. So we are lucky to have you guys developing this, and we are lucky to benefit from the advantage of that. So we definitely want to share this, the value that it brings with others. So we will discuss this with our clients in the APAC region. So the investment managers in Australia, in Hong Kong, others in Singapore. We will look to discuss and to present this offer to them. If they are trading a high number of volumes of instruments, in derivative instruments, this will bring value to them. So clearly, let's expand the benefits to other parties. That's the short term I see, and it. If why keep the efficiency increase just for us? The second is, if we look at the midterm, we are looking to expand the capabilities of the platform. So today, okay, we're treating I would say a processing problem that we've had, but now it opens up a whole new world. Using this platform where you could have a broker interact with the fund manager, you could have us as well interacting with the fund manager to that same platform. You could have if you go beyond that mid and long term, you could even imagine that the actually booked directly by the investment manager onto the blockchain environment. So there's no limits, actually. There's no limits on how far you want to go. The way we look at it from a midterm perspective is to make sure that we can increase and add additional functionality. So confirming the trades onto that platform, having the brokers to intervene and potentially correct some of the data that they have sent us or that they have seen is wrong. So this type of interaction where it becomes a platform where multiple parties are actually playing with each other is definitely the midterm step that we want to do. And that's what we call phase 2 and phase 3. You'll probably hear about this further down the line. And as a final step, if I can comment, obviously this works really well in the derivative space, listed derivatives. So we're looking to see that there's other problems elsewhere, fixed income environment. Would it make sense to look at that as well, to see if that same technology can help our investors and ourselves as a processing entity to simplify and to smoothen the process on the back end.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim, for sharing. And maybe just to add a little bit more to a question, is there any other key highlights that you want to share about BNP innovation journey on top of the Project Mercury?
Yeah, so we and for those who have listened as well to the previous chat we had with David, within BNP, the digital approach and digital development has always been very important to us. We spend a lot of effort and money in making sure that we employ the best technology to serve our clients and provide them with the best quality service they can expect from us. So what that means is that we're always looking to understand and make sure, is the technology that exists, is blockchain, for example, able to help us in other areas? There's a couple of examples which I would like to share with you. Obviously, within the investment environment, you've heard about digital currencies. Bitcoin, everybody knows Bitcoin is there and it's a booming thing. We are looking to expand. Bitcoin is one aspect, but we're looking to expand and to look at different types of assets. Regulators are today already thinking about replacing, the euro, the US dollars, and make that a tokenized investment universe. So we're working with those regulators, more specifically in Europe. BNP Paribas Bank, based, it has its feet in the European landscape. So obviously, we're working very closely with the regulators to see if, for example, stablecoin will be something we can help them with and distribute that to our clients. So we're looking at new regulated digital currencies and how that can be, how we can help our clients to service them. There's another area, and this comes back to more the processing way, that's bringing efficiency, pretty much like we did with Mercury. We've looked at elections, corporate elections. So corporate action elections, a very complicated process. Sounds very simple, but when a company goes ex-dividend, it often gives you a choice as an investor. Do you want to exert that choice? Do you want to have an influence on the way that's the way that the company is moving, as well as the way that you want to use the corporate actions in your investment strategy? So what we've noticed is it's a process where different participants are involved, not very smooth. So again, blockchain is a very good example of how that can be smoothened out. You could have one single platform where those corporate actions are logged in, and you have, you know, your sub-custodians, your custodians, or investment managers. All of them can influence and directly decide what they want to do with that investment without waiting for 2 or 3 days. So another good example of that. KYC, you know, you as a bank, we within BNP Paribas spend a lot of time to know your customer, KYC. So what we do is when we open up an account for a client, doesn't matter where he's based, if it's in Singapore or in the rest of the world, we will ask for a lot of information. Specifically, if it's an institutional investor, we need to know where it's based, what the companies he's working for, or what you know, what type of business is attached to it. So this is a lengthy KYC process today. It requires various steps where various teams are involved. We have our compliance teams, we have our legal teams. We sometimes have you know, relationship manager, business managers, etc., interacting with the client. This can be a very lengthy process. Centralizing that into a blockchain environment is another great example of how you can streamline that. Instead of everybody doing a little piece of that action or a little piece of the work separately, do that into one single platform. And this is where the client can, for example, almost drop all his legal documents, all the required KYC document, as we call it, into the blockchain, and then each of the relevant departments within the bank can look at those documents and then approve or reject or ask additional questions. And this will, you know, as a process can take up to several months. We can reduce it in just a few weeks. And finally, I want to give you the last example, which we've been partnering up with a company, BNP, with Allfunds. Now, Allfunds is what? It's a platform that allows investors and distributors, so basically owners of a mutual fund. You want to invest into a fund. How do you put your money into that fund? Today, it's a very complicated process where you need to go through a bank. This bank will then reach out to the owner of the fund. Often there's one or two intermediate parties involved so that you can actually put the cash into that specific fund. Now, what we've noticed is, again, all those different parties, intermediates, the steps can take up to 2, 3, 4 days if you want to invest into a specific fund, specifically if it's cross-border. By using blockchain, you can streamline that significantly. And we've done, and I know that Allfunds is a platform where our investment company, so our own BNP Paribas asset management company, is distributing their funds there. And instead of waiting for 2 days, the investor can do this in just a couple of minutes. It's just a massive, massive change. Again, this would not have been possible without the blockchain technology. So many different use cases out there, and there's many more coming in the future years.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim. Okay, we're almost coming to the end of this fireside chat before we go to the live demo, okay, which I'll hand over to Nigel. So just one last question maybe. Can you share with us what does the future look like for DLT trade processing? You know, how does a good look like?
Yeah, I think blockchain has a bright future ahead of it. And I would say not so much in the crypto space like everybody knows, but well beyond that space. I believe there's so many different use cases, and I think I've presented a couple of them, where we see that blockchain is the unique technology that allows you to streamline it, and it becomes a real platform that brings value. So the sky is the limit. I said it before. I'm closing with that one. The sky is the limit.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Nadim, for your wonderful insights and sharing. Okay, we will now move on to the live demo. Before, of course, we'll have a Q&A at the last segment. And at this time, I will hand over to Nigel. Over to you, Nigel.
Thanks. Thank you, David. And thank you, Nadim. I think Nadim actually covered the bulk of it. So he's made my job a lot easier. But either way, I've prepared something, and I think the visuals will help put what Nadim has actually spoken about into help you visualize much better. So just give me 1 second as I actually share my screen. Okay. Yes, it seems like we can see this. All right. Right. So thank you. So today I think I would like to introduce STACS post-trade processing platforms matching solution, Project Mercury. To echo Nadim's point, what are the problems the industry are facing and how we resolve them, and why STACS blockchain. So uh, Project Mercury is a collaboration between BNP Paribas and Eastspring and STACS as well. And as mentioned by Nadim, in the 60-day design thinking workshop, our research concluded these 4 pain points were common with all parties when it comes to trade breaks. 1, manual processes are still prevalent and it's error prone, resulting in more than half of trades ending in breaks. 2, unstandardized file formats are adopted by different stakeholders. 3 is that fragmented information among organizations due to silo systems and ledgers. And last, 4th one is that lack of audit trail throughout the process makes it difficult for analytics, and reporting. And these can frequently result in costly errors and unproductive capital, as also mentioned by Nadim. So this is what we highlighted, and these 4 things is the pain points that we aim to resolve, and what we've resolved with our features here. Our simple features capture the trade data at every stage of an ETD and OTC trade, which is from after it's executed. We cover enrichment, confirmation, matching, and settlement. And all the data are captured on our STACS blockchain for future analytics, synchronized reconciliation, and reporting for all relevant parties. So as long as you're part of the trade, you're able to pull out this data in real time, make use of it, analyze it with your tools, and really serve it to your customers as well. So before I move on to trade matching solution, right, to recap what Nadim has actually mentioned of our phase 1, is that we focus on trade enrichment, which actually went live in June last year, 2020, in the peak of COVID itself. And we have seen significant improvement from pre-Mercury, which was 62% at the bottom right, 62% in trade breaks to the current metric of 0.5%. And this 0.5% actually relates more to human errors, right? And we have to make it known either way. So we focus a lot on trade exception handling, where these trades happen and we can know what's the reason behind it and resolve it in real time as well. And because of this significant improvement, we also won the Gartner Eye award here, as you can see. Okay, and we're actually quite proud of it, so that's a good thing to showcase as well. So moving on to the next slide is that our current phase is that phase 2 focuses on T+0 automated trade matching, starting with the current state, as you see here on the as it is on the left, is that trades are manually matched at the end of day, and the status of the matched trades are usually known at T+0. This leads to 3 clear problems, as you can see at the bottom. Lack of visibility at T+0, identification of breaks, or breaks that are identified late, which happens at T+1, and of course, high frequency of errors because of the 2 problems you've seen earlier. Our solution is simple, is that we have moved the crucial components from T+1 to T+0 by introducing 2 levels of automated trade matching. The first level is between the asset manager and the executing broker. And the second level itself matches the allocation details with the clearing broker. So ensuring that a lot of the information is handled at T+0. This means is that all the trades statuses are visible throughout its life cycle, and any trade exceptions are flagged at the soonest moment at T+0 as well. This will drastically reduce the risk of costly trade errors and breaks. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to the demo. And just let me change my screen here. Okay, moving on to my demo, you can see that I'm logged in here as Eastspring Investments as an asset manager. And you can also see on this tab the trade blotter from the perspective of an asset manager, Eastspring as well. To highlight, is that we have currently trades coming in from Citi as both the executing, as you can see here, and the clearing broker. I'd like to also highlight is that BNP Paribas is here, the middle office provider for eSpring, is also in the loop of all the trades that are happening with regards to eSpring and even with different brokers themselves, and can of course take action quickly should there be any exceptions. Okay, so let me showcase a successful trade. Okay, as you can see here, the trade details come from different legs, right? Middle office, executing broker, and the clearing broker statement itself. This trade is stored immutably on our STACS blockchain and can be referenced, referred, retrieved, exported at any given point of time. And of course, we do expect that trade exceptions will happen, should happen, because it is human errors do happen all the time. And let me show a failed trade instead. Looking at this failed trade, you can see the trade has a mismatch due to the price and the currency, which is highlighted by our solution here. Exceptions are highlighted on the trade blotter, but our solution itself also sends real-time notification alerts. And in my demo here, I'm going to be showcasing an email form, which most of the actually quite a lot of people within the financial industry actually prefers to see them. So 12:32, the trade itself has been flagged out and emailed. We can add in the relevant parties at any given point of time in order them to resolve this quickly. In this case, it will be Citi itself and eSpring. And of course, because BNP Paribas is the middle office provider that supports the middle office function, this will be emailed across. Okay, so moving back to the solution is that all the trade data you see, successful or failed, or the actions involved are captured on a STACS blockchain and can be retrieved and through CSV or API connectivity for your analytics, as you can see here in the export button here, allowing for future analytics, quicker reporting, and even future, machine learning. So to even predictive mode to avoid having these trade exceptions in the first place. Okay, so this is the solution in a nutshell, and you can see that in real time, all these trades are coming in, and you can see which are pending, failed, etc., and what needs to be done on the manual intervention. So moving on to my final two slides, okay, is that to conclude our post-trade processing solution and matching itself, right? We have drastically reduced trade breaks by automating workflow with smart contracts. We have changed the way to normalize the unstandardized data with our flexible data ingestion engine. So different formats, different file columns, we are able to ingest that effectively. We've provided a single source of truth for all relevant parties to be synchronized in real time. And this also comes with transparent audit trail that can facilitate downstream analytics and reporting. Of course, this all sits on top of our STACS blockchain itself, robust security and encryption. So rest assured that your data will only be visible with you and the relevant parties. And these benefits provide users with real-time view of trades, improve risk management, and increase productivity of capital. With these, we're therefore able to prevent losses of millions of dollars incurred from costly trade errors by essentially eliminating them from the get-go. So what is next? We're actively looking to expand the ecosystem alongside BNP Paribas eSpring, where multiple counterparties can register their trades on a shared digital ledger. So if you're a broker or asset manager, please do reach out. We'd like to hear from you. Okay, so this concludes my presentation of the solution, and thank you all. So back to you, David.
Thank you. Thanks, Nigel. Wow. I hope everyone have enjoyed the live demo and see the benefits of the live platform. Okay, now we'll move on to the Q&A actually. To the audience, so please type your questions on the right hand right side into the Q&A tab. And while we're waiting for maybe some Q&A, I will actually have a bonus add-on question to to Nadim. Sorry, Nadim, put you on the spot. Yeah, yeah. So to Nadim, what else do you think can be done to accelerate the new technology or the DLT adoption? Is there anything else we can do? Yep.
So you mean that particular solution that we've discussed now, the Mercury one, or in DLT
in general? DLT in general, yeah. DLT adoption, yeah.
I think you know, to make sure that DLT has a place in your business, in your organization, in your day-to-day you know, life as you know, within your own work. First of all, you need to make sure that you understand and you spend a little bit of time on assessing what the problems are. So for you, it's key as a, you know, as a potential future user of a DLT technology, is key to first start with the problem. Try to understand, you know, what first of all, where do you want to bring value in your organization for whatever purpose that may be. It could be that you just see too many documents that are sent left and right. You could be, as we've seen here, you could see that the transactions are just not flowing correctly or not automatically from point A to point C. So there's different use cases and there's different you know, starting points that you can look at, and that all depends on what you're doing. What is your goal, and what do you bring in terms of value to your organization or to your clients? Once you've done that assessment, you can move on to the step where are the frictions? Where are the points where it works less? Where is it that you haven't, you know, taken enough time to look at improving that? So there's different ways of looking at it. I believe that design thinking is definitely a good approach, because it puts you into a new mindset, rather than looking at we have problem A and we have A, B, C, D, E, F as a solution. You look at thinking outside of the box, and you know, everybody's talking about outside of the box, but design thinking process really helps you to redefine the way that you look at problems. So that could be a process that helps yourself and your organization to potentially pinpoint errors and the way that you can solve it. And sometimes, and one specific area in design thinking is, and it sounds really, you know, it sounds really awkward when you do the exercise. And we've done it multiple times, you guys, and with BNP. You know, you're at a certain stage, you have to throw in just stupid ideas. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Doesn't matter. Just throw it out. You know, be outspoken about it. And after a while, we'll look at whether it makes sense or not. But there's no judgment on any of those ideas. So that's an important step in the design thinking process. Once you've done that, then you can start looking at solutions. So what are the potential solutions that are available in the market? And again, you go through that same process, right? Anything is possible. There's no limits to what you can do. You can do it, you know, you could have a developer, you could use another company, you could maybe say, well, we stop this because we just don't know how to do this better. Honestly, there's no limit. And again, that design process helps you to really think beyond the borders that you generally see around yourself and around your organization. And once you've done that, you know, blockchain may become a very evident solution for that. I think I've mentioned a couple of examples where you see this, where blockchain can help problems that cannot be solved with other tech and cannot be solved with conventional solutions. So this is where you look at it and you say, well, you know, in this particular case for Mercury, I don't see any other option there to solve this than going through a blockchain environment. So that's my two pieces of advice in your organization. Blockchain has a place, but start with the beginning. Start with what is it that I'm doing, and what are the pain points related to that.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim. I can see that you have a lot of fans, a lot of thumbs up when you are talking. Yeah. Okay, we do have a question. Yeah, I'll just read to you. how do you evaluate the critical success factors for digital transformation implementations?
There's different ways to do this. So you could, again, almost come back to the start. How could you assess whether you've done a great job or a minor job? So there's one way of looking at it is I've improved and I've reduced the pain that I'm going through. So if we use Mercury as an example, within my organization, we had teams that were working hours and hours on end to try to solve this. So for me, this is a pain. I do not expect someone to spend hours of his life in trying to pinpoint a needle in the haystack where it might go wrong, even if you have systems that help you define it. So one key element in this particular improvement is that it brings a better quality of life or quality of work, if you can call it that way. That individual is now doing some value-add tasks for our clients. He's thinking with the client on making other improvements. So that's one element of it. So improving the work and the way that you do your work on a day-to-day basis. Second is, and I think this comes back to your clients. Look at your clients. Look at the pains that they have. Obviously, everybody says listen to your clients and try to integrate the feedback that they give you, etc. And I think a lot of companies do this. And the majority of companies are listening to their clients. They do surveys. They have have regular service updates, service meetings, etc. So that's all great. But once you've tried to identify patterns in the way that the client are giving you some feedback, and once you look at those patterns, try to look at beyond your boundaries. Try to understand where you can be, we can bring value. I use the KYC as an example. I can tell you this, within our banking world, if you onboard a new client and the client says, I want to do an investment, I need you to help us doing that investment. But if you tell them it's going to take 3 months for us to onboard you because we have to go to a very lengthy KYC process. And this is not only, by the way, it's not only imposed by the bank, but it's also imposed by regulators. So it really depends on which markets our clients are investing. But if you go through that lengthy process, as an end client, you say, well, in 3 months, my investment may be different than I'm looking at today. So whatever we can do to reduce that, and again, blockchain has proven that it's a definite good step in the right direction. We are now removing a lot of months of work that were just waiting. It's not work, it's waiting, where people were just waiting for documents, waiting for instructions. All that can happen now directly into the platform where the interaction is almost instantaneous. So there are listening to your clients, try to look beyond the conventional solutions that may exist to solve the problems of those clients and think outside of the box. Design thinking is a helping tool for that, to see how you can bring value to them. And sometimes the value that you bring to your clients will also have a direct value to your own organization. Not so much because the client is happy with you, it's because it helps you streamline your own internal processes as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim. Okay, I don't see any further question at this point of time. Maybe just one last question from me first, and then we'll see whether any question from the audience. Okay, so Nadim, in your view, right, what do you think would be the most impactful external factor in impacting the progress in for the digital transformation for the AWM industry? It could be for example, it could be climate change, it could be COVID-19, it could be the social media. Which is the single most impactful in your view? Yeah, either negative or positive.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in the digital environment we're facing, and I've touched upon it a little bit before in our previous chat with you, David. I do believe that a lot of our day-to-day issues that we see, day-to-day problems that we see, can be solved with technology, and can be solved with recent technology that we couldn't probably solve a couple of, I would say, 10 years before. So COVID, as you all know, we're now, a lot of us are working remotely. And again, the technology helped us to do this. A lot of companies would not have existed if we would have been, we would have faced the COVID epidemic 10 years back. I think a lot of companies would just have be bankrupt. It still happens today. A lot of companies are going bankrupt, and we're very aware of this. However, I would expect that 10 years back, we would have seen many, many more companies really going belly up. So technologies helped us to succumb this. Another area is, and we've touched upon it as well, is indeed climate change. I believe that climate change is it's here. It's not in 10 years' time. We're not talking about a 2025, 2030, and expectations, etc. I believe that we need to act now. And for us to act now is to know, how do we act? And how do we act is an important question, because as an individual, you can act, obviously, but as a business, you can act as well. And for us, as a BNP Paribas, we obviously believe in sustainable investments and sustainable investing. It's key that we make sure that we choose the right investments for the future. And to make this choice of investments, you have to be aware and you have to be able to tap in the right data. How do I know that the investment I'm doing today in company Z is not going to be a total disaster in 10 years' time, because their strategy around the carbon emissions has changed over time? So what we do is first of all, we look at whatever information we can get from that. And again, there's so much information out there that the only way to be able to read that information and analyze it is to use technology. You cannot read social media, you cannot read all the internet pages, you cannot read all the news clippings and then do an assessment of the investments, the future investment. Is it a good one or is it a bad one? You need to have help, and technology is there to help you as an investment manager. So that's a key step where I believe that this is going to help, and that's the first step, because once you see that, as a company, you do not abide by, I'm just saying this out loud, but you do not abide by the ESG standards or by the KOP standards or the COP standards that are being defined as we speak. You will find no more investors. The investors will go away. So what that means is you have to, if you don't find investors, you have to change. So you have to change your business model. And I believe, we're at the forefront where with technology, we can help that change and we can facilitate that change by starting helping our investors also to know where they should invest or where they should avoid investing. So 2 examples out there.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim. Well, I think you have a lot of fans. I see a lot of thumbs up when you were talking. So thanks everyone. So we do have, I believe, could be the last questions for you, Nadim, actually. So I'll just read the question to you. Thank you, Nadim, for the inspiring sharing. You mentioned earlier about wanting to bring the solution to your clients within the region to share the benefits of efficiency with them. If there's one thing you could say to them, what would it be?
So there's 2 ways of looking at it. So if we look at it from a Mercury project, I mean, that's the first benefit we can talk, right? We could probably go to the clients of BNP Paribas and we could tell them, we've done something great for an investment company. I'm sure that you're feeling the same burden today, and we see it because we're one of your providers out there in the market. So we can tell them, and that's an easy sell. It's an easy sell because you just talk numbers: 96% of reduction of breaks, removal of operational risk. There's no reason why anybody would reject that. So that's for me, an easy step forward. And you guys have shown that also with the technology that you're using, you're able to connect that in such a nimble way, an agile way. I mean, everybody's talking agile, but in this particular case, it's really agile. And just in a couple of weeks/months, you can make an interaction or a connection with any platform that's out there, with any of the tools that are being used by the investment managers. So that's a massive change. I would say that's the direct impact within within the Mercury project. And just beyond the Mercury project, I would say to banks, look at blockchain as general, and look at how it can bring, what other types of value it can bring. We've already talked about digital currencies, and this is directly impacting the investments. So obviously, investment managers, and we already see this today, are knocking on our door and saying, can you guys store digital currencies? And we'll say, well, when it's regulated, yes, we can. So you'll probably follow the trend as a company and organization to make sure that you are always ready to support your clients. But it's just beyond that. I would say that as an external organization, look at the benefits that blockchain can bring just outside of that crypto investment. Look at the fact that you can share a lot of insights and share information with your clients, with your own stakeholders. You can share legal documents. We can, if you look at how many documents are being shared across an organization internally, but also with clients, and I'm not talking just about KYC, but it's just massive. There's hundreds and hundreds of emails that are being shared between relevant parties and considered as an important email because it's the step into the rest of the process. So all of those things can be simplified by looking at technology like blockchain, where instead of having 20 people working sequentially, where one is waiting for the other to send you something over, and then you start looking at it, and then you send it to the third person. So this can all happen at the same time on a blockchain technology. So again, I'm saying this, I sound like I've said this a couple of times. There's no limits on how blockchain can help improve your organization.
Thank you. Thanks, Nadim. Yeah. Wow. I see a lot of thumbs up. Thank you. So I think we have come to the end of this live showcase. Once again, we sincerely thank Nadim for your time to participate in this live showcase. To Nadim, any parting words for the audience?
I would say thanks a lot for listening to us. It's been a great pleasure to share our experience with you. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me or STACS, and we'll be happy to explain a little bit more.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes, and to the audience, yes, we hope you have enjoyed the live showcase. I think like what Nadim has mentioned, please feel free to contact us. And we're happy to have a meeting with any of you. Okay, there'll be for the rest of the day, there'll be other sessions and showcase as well. So please feel free to join. And for this session, there'll be recorded replay in case you have colleagues who have missed. So thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.